Welcome back. You've probably heard of reverse exercises like reverse crunches, reverse lunges, even reverse planks, but have you heard of reverse running? Brent Bishop is here with the 101 on this trending exercise. B, I've done it. It is hard. Tell us what it's all about and why it's becoming so popular.
It is really hard, Tracy. It's become popular. It's not something new, by the way. It's just in the recent years it's become much more popular, gained some momentum, and it's definitely a trend for 2022. Huge benefits as well, Tracy, and I'll tell you about those. One of my favorite benefits is actually, for instance, when you're doing regular repetitive running, especially long distances, the demand you put on your joints, your tendons, the stiffness that becomes from that, it can be actually detrimental, and you can get injured from just repetition. So doing some backwards running, just like you would train the opposite side of your body when you're doing strength training, can really help alleviate some of those risks. So I really like that benefit. Secondly, the effect on muscular balance is huge. So when you're running forward, of course, it's a different emphasis on your muscles and joints than when you're going backwards. So I find that intermittently running backwards can really assist with your muscular balance overall. And one of the favorite ones for a lot of people, of course, is a lot of the research shows that the caloric expenditure goes up. You can actually burn more calories running backwards. Of course, it depends on how fast you're going and how far you go, but that's a great benefit to have if you're looking for weight loss and calorie burn. And then last but not least, I always talk about posture, as you know. When you're going backwards, you got to stay up tall, which really helps to engage the posterior chain. Of course, you're getting your feet, your calves are becoming active, and it really prevents you from rolling forward because you have to stay up nice and tall. So great for posture.
Now, it makes a lot of sense that we'd be talking about this now because the pandemic came around and everyone became a runner. So if you have been running since 2020 outside, you might have some repetitive stress injuries. So maybe try the reverse running for the benefits that you just mentioned, B. You've got some tips, though, for people who are going to try this for the first time, and I'm just going to throw this out there. Be careful, because you're running backwards. So you have some tips for us when it comes to safety as well.
Absolutely. Just like when somebody's running forward, or I'm training somebody, they're running on a treadmill, and they're looking down, you don't want to hit a tree. If you're outside, there's a big possibility of hitting something. So you want to run at a time for one that's going to be, light outside. Try not to do this in the nighttime. Make sure it's a flat surface. And then also your running path shouldn't be at a very busy time when there's a lot of other runners out there. So those are some three main points. Additionally, of course, you're looking over your shoulder the whole time. You want to make sure you're really aware of your peripheral vision and make sure that there's nothing around you that's going to be a hazard. And one of the tips that I would say when somebody gets into this is try it intermittently, maybe even 10 seconds, 20 seconds, or 30 seconds at a time running backwards, and then switch forwards for 5 minutes, and then repeat and get your body used to it, okay? And matter of fact, run with a buddy. So one can do the reverse running while you do the forward running. You can kind of watch out for each other.
I love that. And, lay your eyes on where you're going, because if you've got some divots in the ground, you want to make sure that you've got small steps so that you're not, planking out and smashing because you got your ankle turned over in a little divot in the ground. Okay, let's try it. And we're going to start with some warm-ups that you would recommend for folks to do before they start the reverse running.
For sure. So I always love to warm up before you run because you got to get your body ready for impact. One of the first ones is just going to be a heel walk. So essentially you're doing exactly that, walking on your heels, maybe about 20 feet forward, 20 feet back. What that's doing is engaging your tibialis anterior, which is the front compartment of your lower leg, which helps counteract the forces of your calf. So really good to warm things up there. Second one would be the reverse lunges. I know you mentioned that in the beginning. So instead of your forward lunge, we're actually stepping into a reverse lunge, stepping right through. So again, you're attacking this from a different angle, different emphasis on the joints, but you're also getting through that full range of motion, which is going to drive circulation to your tendons and joints before you get into the impact situation. Last but not least, I always like to get the heart rate up a little bit more before I actually get into my run. So a lot of us have heard of an A skip where you're going forward, doing the same thing but doing it in a reverse pattern. Of course, make sure you look behind you. You don't want to hit anybody. So you do that about 20 feet or so there and back, and then you are ready to run.
Okay, we're ready to run. Show us the proper form for reverse running, B. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so you talked about potholes, and that is very true. You want to keep small steps. Shoulders are going to be right above the feet the whole time, so they are smaller steps. Pump the arms like you would when you're running, so you set your cadence. And of course, look behind you. You ready to try it?
Ready.
I'm going to go this way. All right, so small little steps, looking behind you. By the way, it's good to intermittently look the opposite direction as well, so you put the same sort of stressors on your neck muscles, okay? But again, don't do it for too long to start. Do about 10 to 30 seconds, and then intermittently with forward running.
Okay, that's very cool. After you've done your intermittent forward run, reverse run, you're going to want to cool down, and there's certain things you're going to want to stretch. Give us a couple of exercises.
Yes, I'll give you a couple that are great for either forward or backward running. One of my favorite ones is for your TFL, which is it's not a fancy Starbucks drink. It's actually a muscle that starts at the base of the hip and goes down the lateral side of the thigh. So you get down onto one knee, just like you would with a regular hip flexor stretch. My right leg's down, my right hand's in the air. The difference here, though, is you'd bring the left leg over. Now you see my right leg through, and I'm going to lean over towards the right, and you're going to feel that through maybe even your obliques, the hip, and then right through that TFL muscle. Really great exercise to loosen up that muscle after running.
Ooh, I feel it,
That's number
B.
one. Number
That feels
two,
amazing. Okay,
Yeah,
next,
you feel
what
that
are we
one?
doing? Oh, yeah.
It's a great stretch. 30 to 45-second hold per side there. And then the next one, the calves are really, really active in backwards running. So you want to stretch them out. So I like the one where you go into more of a downward dog position to start. Okay, I'm going to cross my left leg on the back of my right leg, and I'm going to hinge back, gently push that heel towards the ground. My knee is straight in this position, so I'm getting the back of the knee joint where the calf and the hamstring actually cross, so upper calf mainly. But if you bend your knee as well, which I would suggest, then you get your soleus, which is the lower calf. So about 30 seconds in both positions, times 2, and you'll feel your calves are much more loose after that.
Oh, that's so good. For someone who wears heels every day on this show, I need this stretch more often. B, that is so good. Thank you, Brent, for giving us the scoop on reverse running.